Hey, how's it going, everybody? What's up? So today we got some things to talk about here, and we're just kind of gonna dive right into these news topics and discussions. So we're gonna start off with the first one, and that is Sprint bringing My Rewards, which kind of seems a little redundant because we're just on the cusp of the merger. You know, after the government shutdown or partial shutdown is alleviated, it will allow the FCC to basically continue on in the discussions of merging both Sprint and T-Mobile, or allowing that to happen. But in the meantime, Sprint still sits as its own, and they just put out a program called Sprint My Rewards, which is an application that Sprint customers can download to their device. And it works the same way as T-Mobile Tuesday, Verizon Up, and At&t, whatever theirs is called. So initially, you're going to get promotions and deals just for being a Sprint customer. This raises two questions that I've basically thought about here, and I'm pretty sure some of you guys probably think the same thing too. The first question that it raises is that, does it look like that the merger deal is bleak and that they may actually call it off and remain two separate entities? Or are they doing this because as the merger is completed, it is easier to just migrate everybody who was on Sprint, move to the new T-Mobile, over to the T-Mobile Tuesday application? This is simply just moving their profile over. I mean, it's not that simple, don't get me wrong, for those nerds out there who's going to comment, it's not that easy. Yeah, I know, it's not. But I mean, migrating them over, it's, yeah. Anyways, those are the two questions that it raises, because this came at a time where they're just about to merge, and we're like, this is something that Sprint needed a long time ago. I mean, yes, we know companies like to copy each other, Domino's to Pizza Hut, McDonald's to Burger King. I mean, it's like that in the industry, so you can't really sit there and be like, okay, T-Mobile started T-Mobile Tuesday as an Un-carrier move, we're not going to do it. Verizon copies them, AT&T copies T-Mobile, and you're still sitting there saying we're not going to do it, when definitely you needed this a long time ago, when you were losing a lot, or still are, but you are losing a lot of your customer base. So for Sprint to kind of do that is just a little iffy. But hey, I mean, if it's all in faith of, for the merger when it goes through, to just migrate these people who are already on My Rewards to just move over to T-Mobile Tuesday, then I guess it works out. But yes, that's available. Sprint customers, take advantage now while you can. And so the second thing I want to talk about basically has to do with Netflix increasing their prices on their monthly subscriptions per month, and how T-Mobile customers are going to be affected by it. Because as they did put out there that T-Mobile customers will not be impacted by the monthly subscription increase from Netflix, they did not say that was a definite. They just, for right now, you guys will not be experiencing an increase. However, it could possibly happen down the road. And they're not entirely sure, but when they do know, they will notify all T-Mobile customers. So don't think of it as, well, I'm a T-Mobile customer, so that's not going to impact me. It will. It's just not doing it currently right now. As Netflix subscribers who are non-T-Mobile customers, they will experience the price increase, which is, I don't know. I mean, Netflix is great. Don't get me wrong. There are other alternatives out there, though, if you don't want to have Netflix anymore. I know Tubi TV is one of them. I use it, and it does have a good amount of movies on there and some good titles. Not too overly swamped with movies that you've never heard of or that are absolutely foreign and you've never been in the U.S. It has a lot of good movies, and it does have some TV shows on there. So maybe not Netflix originals, but there are some TV shows for you to check out on Tubi TV. So that's an alternative for you guys to check out if you guys want to. And up next, At&T and their 5GE logo, and they're being called out in various different social media applications that I've seen so far. There have been some real crazy responses as they put this ad out talking about 5GE, which is what they call 5G evolution, which initially is not true 5G. Okay, this is just their enhanced LTE that At&T has. And I'm surprised that with all the backlash that you've seen on open social media platforms about At&T doing this, when they first announced they were going to do this, they continued on to do it and are still maintaining it in an ad that you guys probably see on Twitter or on various different social platforms. And everybody knows, it's no secret anymore. Consumers know. Thanks to the journalism of a lot of tech bloggers here and tech reviewers who have talked about the issue. A lot of people know about it, and yet AT&T still likes to act blind about it and continued on. It's a very, very bad look for a company to do that. It very, very much sounds like they're very misleading to everybody. And so I think that AT&T should have never done this, but it's kind of too late now. They put it out there that they were going to do it. They jumped in the pool both feet first, so now they have to swim with the sharks that are going to attack. And finally, to close out this episode, I put up a video about tech being boring in 2018, and yeah, it did not receive a lot of views. That's fine. A lot of people really weren't interested in knowing about that or my opinion about that, and that's totally fine. However, it's really... At first, I was starting to think like maybe I was just being overly critical, a little too harsh about how 2018 had turned out. Because there were various devices that people can, comment and mention, hey, this was a great release in 2018, and hey, it may be. But the overall general aspect of mobile technology, the advancements that it's making, and the innovation that's lacking is where I was really going with that. And I thought maybe, I was probably one of the few that thought that, and then come to my surprise, watching John Rettinger's released video today, hosting a guest, which is Jonathan Morrison, for them to actually say that. I mean, they made a statement. They didn't go in depth about their thoughts on it, but they made that statement that tech has become stale. And I was like, yeah, I agree with it. And, it's not that I'm bashing or being spiteful towards it or being hateful in any way. I'm just speaking how I felt about 2018 and the tech and where tech has gone right now. The whole notch thing, which a lot of you guys have made comments about the notches. Some of you guys are for it. Some of you guys hate it. But the notch is one of the problems. Having a notch, is not just having a notch, but it's just where it came from. Like, people are very meticulous about that, where a certain design comes from. I've walked around with my my HTC One A9 and had people literally, one, mistaking it for an iPhone, and then two, when I tell them the root of that design and how it came to be, they got pretty defensive about it. And really, at the end of the day, first of all, whoever came out with it first, I mean, that's not a real huge deal. But then, it dawned on me, like, yes, I can see why people get very aggravated and annoying with phones looking alike all the time. One company puts out something and the other companies follow. And this is why Apple remains to be on top, even though they fall short with their... with them trying to be innovative. Now, we can't completely kill Apple and just say, yeah, it's over and done with them, credit is given where credit is due, and they're trying new things, so we got to give them credit on that, even though it fails. That is something that John Rettinger said, and that I agree with. But, Apple continues that, not because they have, they're like a force to be reckoned with, but because if they put a notch on the phone and then they see that other OEMs that, build hardware for Android are doing it, it just kind of still puts that image of follow the leader, and it puts Apple as the leader. And if Apple released the iPhone 10, the first device to have a notch, like a long notch, we're not talking about the essential phone and its teardrop at the top for its front-facing camera, but an actual notch. And then you have LG and all these other companies I'm not going to spend time wasting talking about doing the same thing. It puts Apple at the front of the line. But yeah, even though people could look at Apple specs and say, hey, that's pretty weak compared to this brand, the reason they're front is because OEMs are copying to that point, which pretty much not diluted, but it just filled the entire void with devices that just, seem the same, even though the specifications could be different. Because if someone sees something, remember, we all judge books by its cover. Even though we say don't judge a book by its cover, we still tend to. And, when you see a phone that looks just like an iPhone XS, XS Max, you already judged it for what it looks like. And some people don't even stay throughout the entire video to see what kind of specifications does the device have internally. And so that is one of the main things. It's just, tech was just a turnoff for 2018. There wasn't anything that was real, massively exciting that was talked about. And so, but that's not to say that tech is dead. I mean, I'm looking forward to 2019 possibly bringing us some pretty good advancement and innovation in technology for mobile communications. So we'll see what 2019 has. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on, on all the subjects I talked about. Do that in the comment section of the video. I will talk to you guys later. Aloha.